Wow, that's like crazy loud music. What are you listening to?
The best music on the radio. Come on, this is the Iron Age.
The what age?
The Iron Age, the show that brings you various types of heavy metal music from all over the spectrum.
Really? I've never heard of it. How do you know so much about it?
I'm the host.
Wait, if you're the host, how do you drive in this car and on the radio at the same time?
Come on, don't ask so many questions. The Iron Age with me, Justin Sullivan, delivers the best variety of heavy metal music that you could ever ask for. Only on the Iron Age will you find music as ridiculously heavy as Meshuggah and Oceano, along with chill and relaxing tunes like Tool and Deftones.
Well, that sounds cool and all, but I think I'm just going to listen to something else.
Ooh, I think that's going to be a problem. I think you're going to have to find another ride then.
What?
See, this is hi-fi, okay? High fidelity. You know what that means? That means this is the highest quality fidelity. Hi-fi. Those are two very important things to have in the stereo system.
Join me, Kim Tracy, on High Fidelity for a mix of music with a focus on newer music and lesser-known artists every every Thursday at 2 p.m. on the Voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC and streaming with the iHeartRadio and TuneIn apps.
That's right. Hold on, baby, because I think we got a call on the line. Let's go back to the phones and say, hi, caller, you're on with the Motor Mouths.
Hey, how you doing, guys? Trying to get through to you, man? Okay, I got two questions for you.
Yeah.
I have a 2017 Jeep I bought brand new.
First off, who are we speaking with?
This is Mike from Baldwin.
Oh, Mike, okay.
Mike.
Good. And I just had like the year free of conventional oil changes and all that, and I want to switch to synthetic. Full synthetic.
Okay.
No problem.
I was just wondering which would be, which you guys prefer. I got either the Pennzoil, which they recommend, and or the Mobile One.
Either one is fine.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it meets the standard. If you look at the in your owner's manual or even the oil cap, as long as it meets the standard, at that point it becomes preference.
Right.
I would say the only other thing is, if they tell you, you can leave it in there for 3 years or until your first kid gets to college, well, forget that. You still want to get it out of there at least, depending on how many miles you drive. It's got to go at least once a year.
Right.
You know what I mean? But either one is good. You know what I mean? You can't really go wrong either way.
It does come down to preference, like you said, and or price, however you want to figure it out. But whatever, they're both grade A oil. So you don't have
right. I do my own oil changes anyway, and also these new filters now. They're that new cartridge filter that's on top of the engine, which is great. I mean, it's
right. Which is what they used back into the 60s on Chevys. I mean, my Chevys had that the big cartridge until 67.
67
was the first year they changed it, and everything old is new again.
They're coming back. Well, they don't have to.
Yeah, right.
They don't have to dispose them.
It's so much easier because all these little cars, these Altimas and all that, the oil spills out. You take the filter out, it's all over the chassis and everything else. It's like ridiculous.
Right. Yeah. You leave a trail all over the place.
The second question is the headlights. To prevent the fogginess on that, should you use like regular wax just to prevent it, from getting that cloudiness?
I don't know if there's anything you can really do about. The only thing I think, in my opinion, the only thing that I know of that can prevent it is there's a company that sells clear plastic sheets.
That was about
it's like they sell for the hood also.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because anything else is going to be harder than the surface, and it's going to sandblast it.
Yeah.
Right. Because I've used toothpaste on them to get the fogginess out, and it worked great. Believe it or not.
Oh, it's a slight abrasive. Everybody's got their own favorite abrasive there. You know what I mean? But what you're doing there is you're just compounding the scratches out until next time, and they're eventually going to resurface. So if you can stop them from happening.
That usually just happens because of whatever hits the windows as you're driving.
I mean, as you're driving, the sand, the little creatures there, all kinds of stuff gets on there, and also moisture hitting the hot headlight.
Right.
Remember, then things get hot, so eventually that takes its toll. So a clear plastic like that, because it's like sacrificial.
Yeah, because I usually give it a coat of wax, or
that's better than nothing.
Right.
It's definitely better than nothing.
I'll tell you this. I've also had hit or miss results with different cars in the family. Some of them turned pretty fast, and others, like my Mazda, it took years before I had to polish the headlight lenses. So I think it's the materials that the manufacturers choose.
My Camry goes to I can't get only more than a couple months.
Lawrence Stratus was like that.
Yeah, the minivan, maybe once a year.
Yeah.
All right, the Chevys,
right?
They're still fine.
My Impala is still fine.
Yeah. I think they use like real glass or something. That's got something to do with it.
One other question. My wife we just bought the Volvo XC60, and they tell me the maintenance, the first oil change is at 10,000 miles.
Wow.
Okay.
Is that like okay? I mean, that seems a little long.
We've been asked this before.
10,000 miles.
I know.
They what they do now is they can't exactly be suicidal with this. So I mean, and between oils and the materials that they use in an engine and the fact that they burn a lot cleaner, it's potentially possible. I mean, my Nissan, my Toyota, both late model cars, they have like 10,000 mile recommended intervals too.
I'll tell you this, Mike. I know some people who have taken a new vehicle into the dealer and requested an oil change before that interval, and the dealer refused them.
They refused to do it, right? It's not on the specs.
What do you mean?
Does not compute.
And they're like, I'll pay for the filter. I'll pay for the filter and oil change. And they said, no, we won't do it until it's recommended. So hey. I look at it this way: if the engineering behind it recommends that they do, then I say, well,
right. Yeah. As long as you got your warranty, as long as you follow their warranty,
I put out the full thing.
Yeah,
right.
Then, you should be fine. The later model cars could definitely handle it better than say, at the opposite end of the scale, like an old carbureted car, that there's a lot of unburned fuel. It gets past the rings, and the materials in the engine just kind of break down. They make this stuff now. The
metallurgy is better.
The metallurgy is definitely superior.
It doesn't break down.
Right.
So the Mobile One, that lasts 7,500 miles for the oil change?
Well, as far as that goes, if it meets the standard of the car company, and you go by the car company's recommendation.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and the other thing is, the cars now have, like what I'm doing with my wife's cars, an oil life monitor built into the display. So I used it yesterday. Hit the button and said, okay, 29% life left.
Right.
And I know that I'm over the interval where I normally would have changed it. But Joe and I discussed this about a year ago, and I decided to follow that. Yeah, I'm not going to go to zero with it, but when I get down to
I got that on both cars, both displays, they tell you.
Use that, because that's like an a real-time assessment.
It's not just an odometer reading. What it does is it calculates the number of cold starts, maybe hot cycles. There's more to it. Idling time versus highway time.
Right.
It's a lot more than.
What about if you're idling on the highway because you're on the Belt Parkway?
There's also the getting drafted by the other car behind you.
Right.
Takes into account the extra load.
Right.
Yeah, but no, they're way more intelligent.
Sure. It's a different world now.
Yes.
But GM, for example, says no matter what the oil life percentage is, after a year, it's got to go.
Correct.
And not only that, but I would want any of my cars up on a lift at least once or twice a year, just to kind of look around, tires, suspension.
Oh, that's why I do all my own, whatever I can. I still do the brakes and, the oil changes, but now, with the computers and all that, I don't touch, It's
right.
That's crazy.
Got it. All right, Mike.
All right, gentlemen. You have a good day. Thank you very much.
Great. Thanks for the question.
Take care, guys.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
That's great.
That's good information to know. Jim was saying on his Escape, he's also at 10,000 miles on the oil change intervals there.
Okay.
So there's all kinds of... Yeah, what they would do is they're trying to save the environment by not putting out so many used fluids to process.
That too, yeah.
Oh, look at this. Phone's on fire again.
Yes.
Let's grab the extinguisher.
Hopefully we'll have Mr. Carl Anthony. Hello, we'll say, hi, caller, you're on with the Motor Mouths.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. Carl from Automoblog in Detroit.
Hey, Carl,
what's up, man?
Hey, guys. Hey, was really enjoying that last caller. Good questions on the... we get asked that a lot, too. Do I use a synthetic? Can I really go 7,500 miles? Can I really go 10,000 miles? I mean, amazing how things have changed.
So what do you recommend to people, Carl, with you guys?
No, I thought Joe really hit the nail on the head. The materials and engines have changed, and that's, go by the automaker's recommendations. When I used to be a service advisor, I was a Cadillac service advisor. It was for GM at the time. It was the GF5 specification.
Right.
So when Dexos came out, Dexos was technically a semi-synthetic, but Mobile One met the GF5 specification. So for our Cadillac customers that liked Mobile One, we were like, hey, no big deal. Mobile One is still going to do everything that you need to do and then some. And so, but I mean, honestly, I just tell people the same thing. Go by the oil life monitor. It may seem weird if it's 7,500 or 10,000 miles, or you're only changing your oil once a year. But these days, that's normal. You know?
Yeah, as long as you don't have any kind of significant events like, say, an overheat or something like that, or you don't drive over a lot of like rocks or something that you've got little holes in the pan or something. You're good to go.
Right.
You know?
I remember back in the day with my dad's old Chevy truck. I mean, it was, and my dad was always religious about changing oils. I mean, it was every 2,000 miles he was changing his oil. Right. An old 1987 Silverado with a 305 V8, and then he had the 350 V8s as well through the years, and it was like every 2,000 or 3,000 miles.
Yeah. I mean, I was brought up on 3,000 miles.
That was the way we did it.
A lot of shops that I go to still have the oil change sticker printer set automatically for 3,000 miles. Yeah. Which is a good way to generate business, and you're not really going to hurt nothing, but it's not really necessary,
Right.
Yeah, but,
and he was talking before your last caller, the life of Mobile One. And at the dealership, some years back, we had done tests on Mobile One, at different intervals. Our oil supplier had ran tests, and there were some tests that, that we had taken Mobile One out of a car that had gone 9,000 or 10,000 miles. And according to the oil supplier's test, that it was still good. I mean, it still had more miles in it yet. So.
Yeah. Right. Although I used to say that, you don't want to leave that stuff in. I mean, the oil itself may be good, but it's got contaminants in it and whatnot.
Yeah, I had heard many years ago, Carl, that this was from someone in the oil industry. They said you could take the worst used motor oil, and what they do is they break it down. It's the additive package that wears, not the lubricant.
The base stock, what they call it, yeah.
So they separate it. The base stock goes one way, and then the additives get flushed, and they get rid of it. Then they put new additives into the base stock along with some other base, and now they have reconstituted oil.
Right.
So, and of course, hydrocarbons and all that stuff add to the contaminant level.
Depending on the age of the car, there's always going to be stuff that gets past the rings.
Yeah.
I had a...
or if there's any coolant that gets in, that's another issue.
Yeah, hopefully we don't want that.
Right.
I had a no-start on a Trailblazer that the customer put in a half a tank of diesel.
Oh, yeah.
And then actually it wasn't that bad, but you know what? I said to the guy once we got the foul plugs out and whatnot, I says, now you're going to change the oil, right? He goes, why? I just did it for the guy like two because
oh boy,
because there's little witches in there going bubble bubble trial and trouble. That's got to go because it got past the rings. Right. Diesel is great; it gets all kinds of places, but not the stuff you want rattling around in your crankcase.
No,
not unless you're a diesel.
Yeah,
and I gotta compliment you guys too, because the first caller, Christian, as well. I think that was his name, Christian.
Yeah,
you guys are dialed into the local community. I mean, that's what the car culture is all about. It's one thing when you're in the business of cars and whether you're selling them or fixing them. In our case with Automoblog, we're writing about them and reporting them. But, why do we get into the business of cars? Why do we love cars? It's because of that community aspect and that friendship aspect. And it's that whole culture. That's what draws me to cars. And I was listening to that first caller with Christian, and I got to compliment you guys because you guys have that going on. You are dialed into that Long Island car culture. And I love it. It's fantastic. And that's why we love your show. And that's why we continue to promote it on Twitter. That's why we enjoy our relationship that we have with you guys. That's just my hat's off to you guys for that.
We appreciate that. Basically, we boil it down to our marketing strategy is, we know guys.
Yeah. Well,
right.
And Carl, I do want to thank you because like this morning I'm sitting there with my wife and I heard the phone go off and I looked and I said, oh, look. I said, we're being promoted again by Carl Anthony at automoblog.net. I said, this guy goes out of his way to promote us, and thank you for that because we look up to you as being the source, the larger source for information.
I talked you guys up amongst the my car people there that as being knowledgeable and some entertaining stuff to read and some good technical stuff too. So
yeah.
Thank you, guys.
You're definitely something that relieves the boredom of the day.
Well, in a word, I think in this day and age, it comes down to networking, and we're happy to partner with someone like you who agrees to partner with us, and we do what we got to do for each other, and that's the name of the game. Just like with Christian, we'll help him out. He's a friend, and we'll do whatever we need.